Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Alvaro Trejos, and I really appreciate that all you guys are here on my presentation. Today, we're going to talk about the factors that contribute to addiction. Addiction has been an increasing issue in the United States for over the years, to the point that some states refers to addiction as an epidemic. Addiction has impacted our society and our economy directly. Statistics released in 2021 from the National Institute of Drug Addiction have reflected the national drug-involved overdose deaths over the last few years. In 1999, we see that the death toll has risen over 20,000 deaths. And in 2020, the death toll has risen to 91,000 deaths. In comparison to 2019, that has 70,000 deaths. From one year to another, it had risen almost 20,000 deaths. What it was before in 1999, the total death amount, is how much has been risen from 2019 to 2020. But why is addiction such a problem? Why addiction is such a complex issue? Why is it not easy to resolve? Why there is not just medicine that's gonna take it away? Why is it so hard for people to get out or be released from addiction? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about. There are many factors influencing addiction. We got physical factors, psychological factors, social and spiritual factors. Let's talk about the first factor. The physical factor involves our body, our brain, and our chemical reaction to drugs. In the book, The Heart of an Addict, published in 2002, Dr. Lawrence M. Doss explains how our body reacts to chemical and drugs. Whenever you ingest the drugs, the brain releases a signal to balance the action that the drug is having in the body. What happens is that everything that is released in the body creates a tolerance. It increases every single time counteracting any drug that is ingested. After a while, if you don't have the drug, the body reacts and creates what is called withdrawal. This action of building up tolerance and creating withdrawal through the actions is what creates an addiction. An addict, never to be a normal person, they need to consume drugs constantly. That's what helps them create a balance in their body, chemically and physically. Another factor is the psychological factor. Emotions, failure, trauma, how we deal with grief are other factors that they don't involve drugs. They're emotions that happen in our body. They're situations that also pushes the people towards drugs. In the book, Unchain Your Brain, published in 2015 by Daniel G. Amen and David E. Smith, we can see they explain how the social environment affects and put pressure in people and push them towards drugs and drug addiction. Some people cannot take the pressure of work. It's hard to deal with the issues at home, and how we react when we grieve with death. These are examples of how social environment push us towards addiction. And lastly, the last factor that involves addiction is the spiritual factor. Having a sense of good or bad, having a sense of purpose, recognizing how addiction affects yourself and how it affects the others is a major factor in addiction. If you ever think you're not doing the right thing, well, you will never change. Also in Unchain Your Brain, in the book Unchain Your Brain by Daniel Amen, he says, after all, if you don't believe that you are accountable for your actions, then why you should do the right thing? Spirituality helps you realize what is good or bad. But if you never think an addiction is bad, the chances for you ever being relieved from it are very small. In short, Addiction is an issue. It's a national issue, and it affects everybody. And the purpose of this presentation is for everybody to know a little bit of the factors: physical, psychologically, social, and spiritual factors. They're all affecting a person. And that's why it has been such a big issue. There is no one solution because there's not one problem. There's many problems, and it requires many solutions. Addiction is more than the free will or the willpower of taking a decision. There are many factors, and they all have to be tackled in different ways to be able to solve it or face it, or at least help someone. Thank you so much for being here. That's the end of my presentation.